Hello, this is The Lost Adventure, and on this channel we go over forgotten adventures and lost campaign settings. Today's adventure is going to be Falcon's Peak, which can actually be found in issue number 3 of Dungeon Magazine, which was released back in January of 1987. The author of this adventure is a David Howery. I'm unable to find a picture of him. He does have a little bit of history writing for multiple different articles in Dungeon Magazine and Dragon Magazine over the years, but it doesn't seem like he went any further than that. This adventure was designed for 5 to 8 characters of 1st through 3rd level, and its initial focus is that the adventurers get wind of a rumor stating that at an old abandoned bandit's keep, there may be a whole lot of treasure left there by its previous occupant who was run out of there or possibly killed by all these surrounding lords after it became too much of a hassle. You see, once he made enough of them angry at him, they all marshaled up their own armies, went down to this castle that he had, and decided to show him who was in charge. After a 2-day siege, the besiegers were able to make way into the castle and defeat the rest of the brigands. Unfortunately, they did not find this bandit leader called the Falcon, thus the name the Falcon's Peak, or the rest of his family, and they could not find any of his treasures that he had collected over the past few years of robbing people. Eventually, the lords gave up looking for it and questioning the surviving bandits because it was obvious they didn't know, and they all just went back to their own counties and did all those lordly things they do. That's where, eventually, over the years, the rumor has spread out, and now your players have learned about it. Now, unbeknownst to the players, the keep has some new occupants, though they're pretty much the exact same kind of people. A whole band of bandits has taken up residence there, but in order to keep things quiet, they don't raid anything anywhere near the castle. They instead travel a day or two away and conduct all their questionable activities in a way that it doesn't trail them back to the castle. Now, these bandits are fully aware of the rumor because they constantly have to deal with adventurers and treasure seekers coming up to the castle trying to find it. And I'm guessing, since no one's heard about the bandits occupying this castle, they successfully dealt with those individuals when they showed up. This is a small adventure. It's only got 24 numbered locations that we're going to go over. It's got a lower level that's like the catacombs. You have the main level, and then you have the ceiling of this keep. There's no multiple levels in the interior. There's only just one main level. Then you have the lower dungeon, and then you have the upper level. The adventure also describes how when nighttime descends, the bandits put out a series of lanterns out to about 60 feet to illuminate the entire area. The picture they have here is a pretty good description of what the players will have to see. That's the castle. In the front is the gate. In front of the castle is a small corral and barn. It's about 200 feet down the road from the entrance of the castle. And inside of that barn is 12 light riding horses, and this location is guarded by 2 brigands who stay there at all hours. On the roof of this castle, there is 8 brigands on guard, along with the 3 ballistas they will use to shoot anybody that comes from the north, east, or south of the castle. Should the guards notice anybody, 7 of the brigands will start manning the ballista, while the remaining one will go downstairs and inform the other 15 guards that there is intruders. So, the players running up to the front gate may not be the best idea in the world. Now, all these brigands and bandits are all level 0 normal guys. There's nothing special about them. The higher ranking ones will actually have fighter levels. The one exception to this will be the actual leader of these brigands, whose name is Millard, and Millard is actually a level 5 magic user. Now the players, when they decide to take up this little quest here, it has it so it's supposed to be a 2-day trip from whatever location they're at. The locals will also add on that they think the place is haunted, nobody's been in there for 90 years, and more than likely the fact that all the most recent treasure hunters have not come back, this probably just solidifies the fact that they think there's a monster in there. Side note, there actually is a monster in there. You just need to find it. Now, as they're doing this 2-day trip, there is a 1 in 6 chance each day that they'll run into a party of brigands. This party of brigands consists of 9 level 0 normal guys and 1 second level fighter. Now, all of these guys are wholly loyal to the brigand leader Millard. They either fear him or respect him, and even under threat of death or, 100 gold piece bribe, the bandits will only give up the fact that they are from this castle. They may also give bad information to the player characters, like, how many brigands are in there, what the status of the defenses are, how formidable the walls are. They may, just kind of skip over or straight up lie about it. Personally, I wouldn't make this an optional encounter. I would have this encounter happen the day before they reach the castle itself. Now, Millard, he's actually a pretty smart guy, level 5 magic user and all, and he's actually made an alliance with a group of hobgoblins that live in a set of caves to the west side of the castle, which is good because his sentries on the top don't have any ballistas and can't really see to the bottom of the, steep ravine they have over there. So the hobgoblins guard that part, and they get to live in the safety and wellness of the keep itself. Now, as said before, the players could decide to go up to the front gate and try and gain entry that way, or try and scale the walls, which will be really difficult and they will be seen. But that should be pretty much a death sentence. They should just, die. And if they do that, they deserve it. Just go ahead and kill them. And by that I mean their characters, not the actual players. The adventure states that players should be pushed in the direction of trying to gain entry into the castle by using the tunnels that the hobgoblins currently occupy, which is conveniently located right here in this picture. And this is where we get to the first map, the caves and catacombs. This level is where all the hobgoblins reside, and once you get past all those hobgoblins, you then get to deal with the undead that are in the catacombs that neither the hobgoblins nor the brigands have made access to yet. Section 1 is the mouth of the cave. This is guarded by 8 hobgoblins, who have a 90% chance of seeing anybody that tries to bypass the cave, day or night, and once they observe somebody trespassing, there is a 40% chance they will successfully warn the sentries on top of the castle. So stealth probably shouldn't be optional, but then again, sometimes players learn the hard way. Section 2 is where all the non-combatants live. There is 10 female hobgoblins and 5 young hobgoblins that reside there. The female hobgoblins will fight only if attacked or if the young are threatened. Otherwise, they all cower off to one side of the cave and run away when the party passes. More than likely, the players won't even give them the chance to cower or hide. They will probably start shooting them the second they see them. Go ahead and cue some images of Goblin Slayer here. Section 3 is the chief's room. The chief he fights like a hit die 3 monster. He has 16 hit points, wears a full suit of chainmail armor, and has a battle axe. He's actually named Sharnig, and Sharnig and this entire group of hobgoblins are actually the last survivors of a much larger tribe that has mostly died off due to the plague. Now, once you defeat him, you do get access to his treasure chest. There's some gold coins here, which are always useful, but the most important thing is the silver-tipped arrows that can be found within the chest. Section 4 is actually a giant boulder the hobgoblins put up. You see, when they went into Section 4, they were attacked by a bunch of ghouls. So after losing 3 of his members of his tribe, Sharnig decided that it was better off just to close off the entire section. Once the players pull off, combining all their stats to get a combined strength score of 40, they'll be able to move the boulder and make their way in. On this map, you'll see a series of 3 X's if you look closely, and once the players walk past each one of these X's, they'll be attacked by a piercer who drops from the ceiling. Now, you guys see Section 5 right there, right? Well, it's not that easy to get there. Apparently, the entrance to Section 5 is a 15-foot climb. And as the players make that climb, if you look on the map, those 2 even smaller X's right there, those 2 X's are going to be occupied by 2 ghouls, who will probably be surprised by the clatter and sounds that are happening in Section 4. These ghouls are supposed to attack at the first opportune moment when the players won't be able to counterattack. I would actually suggest the 2 ghouls attack the first human that climbs up there at the same time as he's half climbing up. Now, as the fight progresses over here in number 5, The players will find that when they first came into the room, it was 8 feet high. But as they progress further to the back, it goes from 8 feet to 2 feet high. As the ghouls are fighting the player characters, if they start to lose, they will use this to their advantage. They will start crawling to the back, making it so player characters will not be able to use any sort of like large weapons, blunt weapons, or missile weapons against them as they chase after them. As combat progresses, player characters will also be at -2 to hit once they get into this whole crawling, chasing after the ghouls thing going on. There is only 2 of them, so they should be able to defeat these. Otherwise, inside this room, there's some small amount of treasure, some gold medallions, and a jeweled unholy symbol. Oh, and a silver dagger. Now, once the players crawl through this entire area, they finally break into the actual part of the vaults. This is where it goes from merely a natural cave into an actually carved structure. Number 6 is actually the family vault. Now, the ghouls had actually came down here in order to find food, as ghouls eat dead corpses. And as they walked through this door right here, they accidentally closed it behind them while locking themselves in. So this is why they're stuck in this one area. To get through this door, players are going to either have to pick the locks or force the door open. Number 7 is the resting place of the evil cleric that used to reside here with the Falcon. Apparently the gods did not like him because out of all the corpses down here, the only one that was completely devoured is the one in number 7. Anything useful that you would have found on the corpse of a dead cleric was instead found in the treasure hoard from number 5. Number 8 is an evil temple. This actually has some guardians in it. There are 5 normal human zombies and a huge ogre monster zombie, and all of them are carrying scythes. Of note, none of these creatures can be turned by a cleric because they're currently on their own temple home ground. Number 9 is the Vault of the Falcon himself. This door is actually locked by 3 separate locks. Each lock has to be opened in order to gain entrance into this room. And each lock also has its own poison needle trap that if the players fail, they fall comatose for 2 to 8 hours. Once the players make their way in here, there'll be a large black stone slab in the center of the room, surrounded by a bunch of paintings, talking about how awesome he thought he was back in the day. On this stone slab is a skeleton in black plate mail. The skeleton holds a scroll in one hand and a silver bastard sword in the other. Words engraved on the side of the stone announce Lord of Falcon's Peak. So this is obviously Lord Falcon's corpse. The scroll is cursed. Anybody who reads it gets turned into a scum creeper if they don't save versus spells. And when this happens, a magic mouse spell goes off on Falcon's skull that shouts the curse of the Falcon on you all. And then the scroll rolls back up and goes back into his hand. This scroll can be used 2 more times before it turns non-magical. The sword itself is not magical. It looks really nice though. It can be enchanted up to +4 because of the items used in its creation, and otherwise is worth 4,000 gold pieces. Number 10 is the resting place of the Falcon's captain. The walls are painted once again with scenes of warfare where this guy's being a hero and all of it. And there's a stone slab in the center, and on that lays a skeleton in black chainmail. The skeleton also has a +1 shield and a normal longsword, and he also has an unrolled scroll lying on his chest. Now, this scroll was similar to the one in number 9, but all of its magic has been used. If the players look around, they'll notice some scum creepers wandering around the area. Now, if any of you are like me and have never heard of a scum creeper, let me go ahead and put its stats up here. This thing is a 1-foot long giant slug. It moves extremely slow. It is a 1-hit die monster, and if its attack hits, it doesn't actually do any damage for that round. Instead, what it does is it latches onto the creature it just successfully hit. And then after that, it will automatically deal 1 point of damage to the creature every turn. Beyond that, the only other interesting thing is it's weak to salt, so if somebody puts salt on it, it takes 2 damage every single turn for 1 to 4 turns, determined randomly. Now, back to the room. There is 11 of these scum creepers. There is 7 of them on the ceiling, and there is 4 in the corner. Now, the 7 on the ceiling will drop down from the ceiling to attack the player characters, while the 4 in the corner will actually begin writing on the floor using their cilia, and that writing will say, "We are human." These 4 scum creepers are actually a group of thieves that had wandered in a long time ago and read the scroll in the room. These 4 will not initially attack the player characters. Instead, they'll frantically wave their cilia in an attempt to draw the party's attention to the words. If they are attacked, however, they will fight back, seeing as how they prefer to die rather than continue to live as scum creepers. If saved, they are a level 3 thief, 2 level 4 thieves, and 1 level 5 thief, all alignment neutral. They'll tell the players how they actually ended up being stuck down here because they had tricked the ghouls into the caves by using a series of dead animal carcasses, and once they got them in there, they actually locked them behind the door. They're the reason why the ghouls got stuck in that room. And it's been 12 years since they have read the scroll. They have spent the last 12 years as scum creepers. They're not entirely ungrateful, but the book has it where they are supposed to consider robbing the party. I wouldn't do that. I mean, these are 4 guys that are neutral. If I was one of those guys and I just spent 12 years as a slug and someone saved me, I don't care how evil I was. I would be pretty thankful, at least enough to not want to steal or kill from the people that just saved me. I don't know. You could use these guys as a hook into another adventure if you wanted to. Otherwise, if you wanted your player characters to gain some levels of some more treasure, they could point out the location of a large amount of hidden treasure. Number 11 is the Vault of the Falcon's Mistress. She's also on a stone slab wearing a long black silk dress, and there's also the skeleton of a man on the stairs up to the slab. The skeleton on the stairs is actually the Falcon's servant. After he poisoned everybody else and set them to their final resting places, he actually killed himself on the stairs, so no one would be able to get the information of where it was. That's a pretty loyal dude right there, actually. As for treasure in this level, there's a gold ring set and a braided gold chain on the corpse of the dead woman. And number 12 is the ladder up to section 16 of the fortress. And now we're on to the next part of this adventure, the fortress itself. Now that the players have finished off the hobgoblins and got to fight all the undead monsters down in the basement, they now get to fight the living brigands up on this level. Now, the players will actually come out in room 16, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to do it in numerical order as usual. Number 14 is the entrance into the keep itself. This is occupied by 3 brigands who are actually pretty alert. They will be able to assist if they hear any alarms coming from the roof or from the barracks in number 15. There is a ladder in this room, and this ladder goes directly up to the roof. Number 15 is the barracks, where if the players come in here, they will get the joy of fighting 11 brigands. They're scattered around the room, and they're armed with a variety of different weapons. However, they are all wearing studded leather armor and have a small shield. Any fighting that happens in this room attracts attention from every single room around it. Unless a player happens to cast silence or something like that. That would make sense. And number 16 is the storage room the players came in by. Now, the trap door is not only bolted to the bottom of this floor, but it fits perfectly flush with the floor itself. There's only a 5% chance of anybody that wasn't coming up from the underneath of even noticing it. The brigands would have probably noticed it, except they had placed 2 boxes right on top of it when they first moved in. So getting up here is actually going to require a strength roll by the party to even push the boxes out of the way. Once they get in there, this room is filled with bags of grain, water kegs, ale kegs. There's apparently 200 arrows, 19 falchions, 14 small shields, and other minor miscellaneous survival and adventuring equipment. The total of this gear is not to exceed 1,000 gold pieces, though. This is really starting to sound like a nice home base for the players. Number 17 is the Brigand's Treasury. There is 3 large locked chests in here, and each chest is trapped in its own special way. Also, there is 4 guards to this room. Number 18 is the Brigand Captain's room. This Brigand Captain is named Waco, not connected to the Texas incident because this adventure actually came out years before that even happened. Now, Waco is a 5th level fighter that is wearing splinted mail and is equipped with a longsword +1. 19 is the slaves' quarters. Inside this room, 11 women and 7 men are chained to the walls. All of them have been abused, dirty, and malnourished. The jailer in Area 21 has the keys, or you could just do it the old-fashioned way by breaking the chains. Room 20 is the captive's room. This room is used for prisoners they are trying to ransom. Cell A consists of a noble elf. Cell B is 4 men that are minor officials from a nearby town. Cell C is a woman. She is the daughter of a wealthy spice merchant. And Cell D contains a ragged gnome that is actually chaotic evil and an assassin. Keep them as they are, or trade them out for somebody that's important for your setting. All of them are worth a decent amount of money if they are returned, except for the gnome. He's not worth any money, and the Brigands only have him in here because they don't know what to do with him yet. Room 21 is the jailer's room. This is actually a level 3 fighter. Number 22 is occupied by the mascot of the Brigands, which is a dire wolf, which is tied to the back wall with a rope. The wolf growls and whines if either door is open, alerting Millard, the wizard, in room 23 that there is something wrong going on. Should the players try and fight this dire wolf from a distance, there is a 10% cumulative chance every turn that the wolf will break its binds and chase after the players. 23 is Millard's room. He is a level 5 magic user, and he also has a series of spells. He has 30 gold pieces, 10 platinum pieces, and keys to the treasury. Also in this room is his spellbook, and of note, this is probably the most important part, right when the player characters run into the room, there is a trap door that is triggered if it's hit with more than 250 pounds. Which means if multiple characters run on top of it, or let's say if a heavier character wearing heavy armor steps on it. Once this trapdoor goes off, the characters fall through the trap, hit a greased ramp, which takes them down to room 24. The room's only other occupant is a Falcon that will attack the players if Millard gives it the command to. In the southeast corner, there's a small engraved symbol of a scythe cut into the floor. This symbol will be about the size of a small silver scythe that the players would have found on the monster zombie ogre in room number 8. If this silver symbol is pressed into this indentation, it will open up, revealing a cache of gold and treasure and a whole lot of magical items. This is the lost treasury of the Falcon. Room 24, the final room, is occupied by what is actually what haunts the Falcon's Peak. Now, once whatever amount of players, whether it's 1 or if it's 2 or multiple, falls down here, they will actually have to spend a round getting up. As they get their bearings, they'll notice that there is a coffin inside of this room. In this coffin is a wight, and it immediately jumps out of its coffin and rushes across the room to attack the player characters. This is where the silver arrows found in Area 3, the daggers from the ghoul's nest in Area 5, and the bastard sword from Falcon's tomb in Area 9 will become useful because they're all silvered and are able to hurt the wight. Any player characters killed by the wight end up becoming wights themselves. I would go ahead and say that the Brigands, once they figured out about this wight, are the reason why the slide itself is greased, making it so the monster can't climb out, and so they can actually use it as a very effective trap. Now, once they defeat the wight, if they're able to, they'll be able to collect the treasure from all the previous unfortunate victims of the wight. Down here is a small amount of coins, but there is 4 suits of leather armor, 2 suits of chainmail, 6 large shields, 4 small shields, 3 long swords, 2 falchions, which case 1 is a magical +1 falchion, a scroll tube that contains 2 clerical scrolls, 2 vials of holy water, a short bow, and a quiver of 20 arrows, in which case 2 of them are +1 arrows and 3 of them are silver-tipped, along with 2 short swords. Now, David does give a little excerpt here about what happens after you've concluded the quest. After a few days of, hanging out, if that's what the players decide to do, they'll actually end up having to run into a group of 5 hobgoblins that just came back from hunting, and a human brigand captain who is the brother of Stankus, the first fighter that you ran into with the first group of brigands on the way to the castle. And that's all there is to the adventure. For ratings, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 3. I mean, this is a adventure that's found inside of a magazine, not an actual, legitimate adventure module. It can pretty much fit into any campaign set you're running. You can just throw it in as the headquarters of a group of bandits or brigands in the area. And it's also pretty useful as a home base should the players actually defeat everything inside of it. For value, I'll give this a 3 also. I mean, you can find the PDF online with a Google search. Or you can try eBay for the actual magazine itself, which should come out to less than $30. For deadliness, I'll give this a 4. I mean, this is designed for 5 to 8 characters of 1st to 3rd level. And a lot of these monsters will end up kicking their ass if the players aren't smart. This thing's got curses inside of it, it's got traps, I mean, it's got all you'd ever need for a sort of small sidetrack for the players that'll probably also get them up a couple levels. Altogether, this is, I would go ahead and say this is a 4 out of 5 adventure. Easily fittable into any campaign you have. Well, that's it. I hope somebody found this useful out there, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.